Hey, Greg, can you hear me okay?
I can. Thanks, Steve.
Good, thanks. Hey, reaction to Tillman getting cleared, how he and Haji Wright have done in training, and the decision not to bring in a replacement for Georgie.
So we purposely stacked the attacking positions in this camp with depth in every position, so we didn't feel like there'd be a need for a replacement for Georgie. Our heart goes out to Georgie, and the timing of this is very unfortunate for him. He's been having a great season. We're really looking forward to working with him in this camp. But what I told him is just focus on getting better and continue to do what you've been doing. And if you do that, there'll be other opportunities for you down the road. So that was a good conversation. Regarding Malik, we're really excited that he got cleared by FIFA to play. He's shown a lot of quality in training, very good understanding of the game, very good first touch and awareness around the penalty box. So that's been great to see. And with Haji, he's doing a good job. He had a great season in Turkey. He's looking to continue that form with us, but he's been looked strong in training.
Next will be Sam Stejsko from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg. In your last press conference, you mentioned that you thought the team could have done a better job in qualifying of controlling games. Could you elaborate specifically on what you meant by that? Was that anything to do with build-up play and any changes or tweaks we could see in that aspect tomorrow or later in this week?
I think that, when I look at some of the performances, I think there was times where we could have been better. We could have been better on the ball. And I know the stakes were high, and I know that affects nerves and the desire to open up and want to get on the ball. But, I look at games like Panama, for example, and we're up 5-1. They shouldn't be able to touch the ball for the rest of the game. We should be really pounding them, and that wasn't the case in that particular game. There was some residual fatigue from the Mexico game, and I understand that, and the result was the most important thing, and I understand that as well. But then I look at some of the game versus Mexico in Azteca when I think we could have been more brave to control the ball, and then in Costa Rica, same thing. There's plays where I think we can get easier control of the plays, and we don't. For example, one of the fouls that led to the free kick that they end up scoring on. I think it's just about control, not only with the ball but defensively, just moving our feet. Not diving in, controlling the opponent more with our defending, and But this was all a work in progress, and we understood that. We understand that we're the youngest U.S. team ever to qualify, so some things were to be expected. Now, when we move into this phase, we are looking to control the game in some aspects, especially with the weather being as it is. When it's really hot in these June games, we're going to have to keep the ball and be effective using the ball.
Next will be Brian Strauss from Sports Illustrated.
Thanks, guys. Hey, Greg. Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got you. Sorry.
Everyone's nervous now about this guy.
I know.
I got you. I'm waiting.
Hazards of this difficult job.
Yep.
Not to risking generalizing a little bit. Guys like Tyler, Christian, Tim, Eunice, Weston, Luca, coming off long seasons that were taxing in different ways, right? Playing time issues for some, tough results for some, injuries, reports swirling of potential moves. What's their appetite and capacity now for the work that you want to do over the next 2 weeks to prepare for a tournament that's in almost 6 months? Is there concern about mental or physical fatigue, or do you find that they're eager for like something fresh and kind of feeling rejuvenated? And sort of what particular players jump out at you that you're discussing that with or that you're handling in a certain way?
Well, what I'd say is that I know they're excited to be together, and that's the most important thing. And then for us as a staff, we just need to be mindful of how we're pushing them, how we're occupying their time, and understand that there needs to be a balance. When we're on the field, there's not a lot of compromise. We're going to go hard, but off the field, I think there's time to to let them enjoy each other, let them go out for dinners, let them go out for movies or play golf, or, I think that's where we can take some of the stress levels, reduce the stress levels there. It's understanding that it has been a long season for them, but we also have work to do. So it's for us finding that balance between, pushing them and pulling back a little and giving them some time. But overall, it's great to see them come into camp because they're so happy to be together.
Next is Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Doug.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different things you want to do in this camp, right? Like, it's not like qualifying where the goal is to win. I know you want to win the games, but you want to try some things and you want to look at new faces. How do you prioritize that? Like, what's the most important thing? What's the next most important thing this month?
So the experience of playing against two World Cup opponents is going to be important for us. So we're going to really have to value that and really compete in those games and see where we stack up. But within that, there's going to be time periods in those games where we have to test new players. So we're going to make substitutes no matter what the scoreline is. We're not going to, play everyone 90 minutes to hang on to a 1-0 lead. That's just unrealistic at this stage. We can't do that. We don't have enough time on the back end to be able to do that. So that's, I think, one of the compromises that you're talking about. And then when we move into Nations League, we'll use probably the first game to give some guys, international experience, competitive international experience. And then, the challenge of how do we go away from home and win a game. And that's going to be a challenge on the entire group.
Next will be Nancy Armour from USA Today.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg, for doing this. DeAndre said yesterday that he has talked to the guys a little bit about playing in a World Cup, but he said you can't explain the experience, you just have to experience it. Given the youth of the squad, which you've mentioned many times, how do you prepare them for something like this, or do you trust that the big games, whether it's Champions League, playing for promotion or playing for league titles over in Europe, that's going to be enough to get them ready for the high stakes of a World Cup?
Well, one thing we learned from qualifying is that you can talk about it all you want, but until you experience it, it's hard to really understand it. So I agree with DeAndre. That's going to be the case in the World Cup. And our job is to just put them in position to focus on, the performance and not worry about all the external factors. Just focus on what we're doing together as a team. What we know is the guys have played in high pressure situations before. What we know is that, we can thrive as underdogs or favorites. We can be comfortable with that. And then we know that it's a tight group and we're going to have to rely on each other in this group to use our teamwork and use our team culture as an added strength.
Next is Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Greg.
Hey, Jeff.
What are your thoughts on players switching clubs so close to a World Cup? I mean, do you prefer stability? Or, are you okay with it? And obviously, a guy like John Brooks is kind of forced, whereas Brendan Aronson moved on his own. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think the most important thing is that players move into situations that they know what the expectations are and what their role is going to be, and that they fit into the playing style of the club they're moving to. That's the most important thing, and then things are going to work out. And for me, as long as it's a fit in those regards, I'm okay with it because guys. That's the nature of our game. There's a lot of it's a transaction-based business. There's a lot of movement every transfer window, and we expect guys to be on the move in transfer windows, and that's just part of it.
Next is Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Greg. Traditionally, when the World Cup's in the summer, all of us here in the U.S., can feel the build-up starting in April and May, and there would be the send-off series like there was in 2002 that you were in and all those other years, and you'd feel the build-up and you'd see, sort of the spike in interest in the spring and into the early summer. And I wonder, what you've observed about the jump in interest this week and sort of the rhythms of things and whether it feels a little more real now since it's the rhythm's different this year because the World Cup's in the fall.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet in terms of the build-up. I think that this is an important training camp for us as a group, but I don't think, the world is saying, here, the World Cup's right around the corner. To me, it feels more like, we just got through a European season. The Champions League final was just played. That was a huge event. People are still digesting that. There's talk of, who's moving where in the summer, and that seems to be the focus. But I can guarantee you, as we move into the fall, it's going to ramp up in a big way. And it's just a different World Cup. And, I think we're all going to embrace it. We're all going to really enjoy it. It's going to be a fantastic experience for people in one city, being able to see all these different fans coming together. So I think it's really going to ramp up right now. I don't think it's there.
Next will be Henry Bushnell from Yahoo. Hang on 1 second, Henry. I think you got muted. Go ahead.
There, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great, thanks, Michael. Hey, Greg, just following up on Doug's question from earlier about balancing the different motives and the different things that you might want to achieve in this camp. Are you viewing like tomorrow's game and the Uruguay game in exactly the same light and trying to accomplish all of those things you mentioned in both games, or will you prioritize one thing tomorrow and then prioritize another thing on Sunday?
No, those are great tests for us. So, for us, it's really great to see how players can perform against those two teams. So the priorities will be pretty similar. Maybe there's a couple lineup changes that we make, but other than that, it's probably going to be, we start with a team and we make subs and give guys opportunities to play a role, and show what they can do against high-level competition.
Next is Ivan Skolarcev from SBI Soccer.
Greg, wanted to ask you about Joe Scally. This is his second camp with you, and obviously he had a breakout year, played 33 matches for Gladbach. As you've watched him and followed him along this year, what's impressed you the most? Said he played 5 positions this season for them. How have you seen him grow? And as far as Brendan Aronson goes, obviously he can play multiple positions. For his club, mostly playing centrally, but for you, more out wide. Where do you see him fitting best in your system? Where does he fit really well at both in the middle and on the wing, so he gives you that versatility?
Yeah, I think he fits in both. Tomorrow we're going to play him in the middle, see how he does. Use his mobility, try to get him between the lines. It'll be interesting to see what he does in the game. In terms of Joe, he's looked good in training. I'm excited for him to get an opportunity. He's not going to start the game tomorrow, but I'm sure he'll get some game time on this trip. But he's looked good in camp, and it's been fun watching him this season. I think watching, just any player go through the ups and downs of a season, and he was no exception.
Next will be Michael DeCourcy from Sporting News.
Yes, Greg, you mentioned before about the youth of the team. How young of a team does it feel now that they've been through CONCACAF qualifying, and what sort of elements that you would have in the squad if you had experience are you trying to sort of fill in, paper over, however, whatever verbiage you would use there?
No, I think that the guys are growing up. The guys are gaining experience, and with a young team, the only way to do that is by getting games and by going through experiences like World Cup qualifying. I think that it's a good group. It's a close-knit group. Really excited to see how this group continues to develop, and even though there may be inexperience on the international level, the guys have played in a lot of big games, and that goes a long way. They're in very competitive environments, and it's been a fun journey together.
Next is Daniel Nora from Univision.
Hi, Greg.
Hey,
Good
Daniel.
to see you again.
Good to see you.
I'm just wondering how challenging and how fun it's to face rivals out of CONCACAF for the first time in a long time, beside the friendly in December against Bosnia. And what are you expecting from the center back, considering the Miles Robinson injury? Because we have talked about the 9, the goalkeeper, but we all feel that we need to find a replacement for Miles looking ahead of the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, Miles, played a big part in what we were doing the last couple of years. So it's certainly a loss, and we wish, him all the best in his recovery. But it's another opportunity for other players. And, Chris Richards is a guy that we think highly of. He's not in this camp, unfortunately, due to injury. But, Aaron Long has played a lot of minutes with us. Walker's played a lot of minutes. It would be good to evaluate Cam Carter-Vickers and Eric Palmer-Brown in this window. In tomorrow's game, Aaron and Walker are going to start the game, so it'll be nice to see how they play together, and what the chemistry is like there, but also how they lead and push the team.
Next is John Lupo from Valvo.
There we go. Hey, Greg. So, just adding Sean Johnson to your goalkeeping ranks, how excited are you to have him on the squad, especially with the form that he and NYCFC have been in recently with keeping 6 straight clean sheets?
It's great. He's a guy that, was disappointed not to make the initial roster, understandably so. It was a tough decision for us to make it as a staff, but when the door opened for him, we were happy to call him in. And, hopefully he'll get an opportunity in this window, or I'm sure he'll get an opportunity. He's not going to play tomorrow. Matt's going to start tomorrow, but, he'll get an opportunity for sure.